Hey everybody, Garcia here. Today we're taking a look at a follow-up to the social deduction bluffing game Time Bomb. This is Time Bomb Evolution. Both of these games follow the same basic concept. You are going to deal out character cards at the beginning of the game. Some of those character cards are going to be the good guys, some are going to be the saboteurs. And you are trying to make it through the game as the good guys without having the eponymous bomb go off. And if you're the bad guys, of course, you want it to go off. So that's the general idea. Now, in the original game, it was one bomb, one card that made the whole thing go boom. That was it. And there were a few you were trying to find to stop that happening based on the number of players. In this new one, which is what we're talking about here today, there is not one card that ends the entire thing. In fact, there are now different colors of cards because there are different bombs you are trying to stop from going off. And only after a few cards in each of those colors will that specific bomb go off, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at it. You do not need previous experience with the original game to get into this one, so don't worry about that. But if you do, if you have played this one, or if you have played a game called Don't Mess with Cthulhu, which is a reprint of this, then you have a good idea of how this is going to work out. Still, let's take a look at it, and I will see you on the other side. Here I'm going to be showing you what they're calling the variant for the game, the advanced game, if you will, but I think it's the way to go. So I'm just going to jump right into it. If you want to step that down, you can just ignore the colors on these different bombs. You can ignore the special ability, and then you're playing the same game, okay? But I'm going to teach with the powers incorporated. So let's say we're going to set up a game for 5 players here. We're going to, first of all, grab these cards here. These represent the saboteurs. These represent the good guys. They get shuffled up, and everybody gets one of them. The number of good versus bad characters depends on the number of players at the table, okay? So you'll adjust this based on whether you have 4, 5, 6 players at the table. Once that's done, everybody gets one, and that's that. We'll put these aside. You look at your own, keep it hidden, all that stuff. We're going to pick a number of bomb colors based on the number of players, so 5. And here we're taking a look at that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So these are the 5 in play. There's also this color that I have removed, because if we were playing with 6, we would play with them all, but we're playing with 5. And also you could, of course, replace one. You could then, next time you play with 5, play with that combination. You can pick them or do it randomly. So these are going to be the ones in play. I'll explain what they all do in a second once you know how gameplay flows, okay? Don't worry about that for now. So we shuffle these in here. We're going to shuffle it all up real well, and then we're going to remove a number of cards equal to the number of players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blindly. And then we're going to add in 5 of these checks. These are the good ones. These are the ones we are looking for as the saviors of the city. So we're going to shuffle these in. And once that's done, then everyone is dealt an equal number of cards. We deal out the entire hand. Once that's done, you'll have your 6 cards or so in front of you. You'll grab those, and you'll take a look at them and see what you've got. All right, so these are my own cards here. Let's see. So I drew 1 bomb of each of these colors and 1 check mark. For this example, let's just assume I'm one of the good characters, okay? So once I know what's in here, I'm going to shuffle it up and put it back down in front of me. And everybody else is doing this, okay? They're all doing that. So I don't know where they are. I know what I have, but not where it is exactly, right? And then we have a star player. Whoever the star player is has these fancy wire cutters. There's also a card representation of this if you want to play with a card, but who would want to do that when you have these fancy wire cutters? So this player is going to begin with that. And we are off. You can use these markers to track how many cards have been cut, quote-unquote cut, or you can just, keep track of it mentally. So here we go. There are 5 of us. We are going to have to cut 5 cards, and then the round ends, and we move on to the next round. You'll play a maximum of 4 rounds unless you win or lose collectively before that point. So this player, this is all going to be open chatter here. We're going to try to convince this player that they want to come over here and cut one of ours, or that they do not want to do that. And accusations will, of course, start flying immediately. Like, I don't know if I trust you. They're going to pick one to cut. This player over here made a good argument as to why they should go over there and cut one of theirs. So this player says, okay, fine, I'm going to cut that one right there. And we take it and we flip it. Oh, it's a bomb. It's a yellow bomb. It's the first one in yellow, so nothing happens. And then this player whose cable was cut, whose wire was cut, they now have these, and they'll be able to cut one. Again, we're going to continue doing this until 5 have been cut, because there are 5 players. And then we're going to gather up all the cards, shuffle them up, and divvy them out again, and do the same setup as we did at the beginning there, right? So your possibility, your pool, changes after 5 cards have been cut, and then, from these I'll get 4 cards back, we'll cut another 5, then I'll get 3 cards back, and so on, all right? So this player now, again, figures out what they want to do, and they'll come over here and cut this one. Okay, great. Oh, no, that's bad. It's another color. And so far, again, nothing has happened. And this continues. So, what are we looking for? What's going to happen as these things are cut? Each of them carries a basic moment, a basic power in which it explodes. And that is, as soon as you draw the 4th of of any color. So once we draw the 4th yellow bomb, it goes off. Good guys lose, the bad guys win. The other thing is they have a power, some special ability, okay? And then the final thing that the good characters are looking for are those checks. Oh, there we go. When you pull these out, that's good, and they will allow you likely to be able to cancel a bomb from going off once it hits the 4th or even the 5th card in that color. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what the bombs do. By the way, once you've pulled out all 5 of these, then the good guys win, like I said. So let's take a look at what the bombs do. The yellow's very easy. It can never, when one of these is pulled, it can never go on yellow. Yellow will never be canceled. It will go off on the 4th card. So there is that. Pink over here has a very dangerous power, which is if you ever pull 2 pink cards back to back, they go off, no matter how many are on the table. No matter if they are canceled. Okay, this only stops them exploding when you get to the 4th. But if this happens, 1, 2, back to back, they go off. We've got the green one here. That goes off after 3 cards, not 4. Very scary. We've got, that's pink as well. That's green as well. We've got the red one. And we've got the orange. So the red one here, when that bomb gets pulled, let's say it was cut in front of me, okay? And so I have these now. Well, now I grab these cards here, and I'm going to shuffle them up. And I'm going to flip one. And the next bomb cut corresponds to this player around the table. In this case, it's me. In this case, it's 4 players around the table, and so on. I get to cut the card I want. It's blind anyway. But the player whose card is cut is picked randomly after one of these. And then this one here cuts into, robs us of cards to cut during the final round of the game. So if there's one of these face up on the table during the final round, the 4th round, we're only going to cut not 5 cards, but 4. If there's another one of these face up, then we are only going to cut 3 cards, and so on. That's bad because we might not be able to find all the checks that we are looking for. So there you go. The final one is blue, which is set aside. When blue comes up, it sets aside one of these canceling check marks. While it's still on the table and still counts towards the 5 we need, it no longer is preventing something from exploding. So again, terrible news. So there you go. That's the way the whole thing flows. Like I said, if you want to play without these special powers, you can do that. And it's simply, when the cards come up, you ignore the power. And when these get pulled, you can just set them aside. There's nothing to cancel. That's not going to work that way, okay? You just want to get all the ones you need of this before one of the bombs goes off. That's it. But I would certainly say play with the powers. They spice up the whole thing and make the bluffing, the interest, the moments of tension a little bit more captivating. So that should do it. Let's go ahead and go back up top, and let me tell you some final thoughts. Let's talk about it. I want to say, first of all, that I like the original game. I think this is a solid game. I'd rate this a 6 or a 7. It's good stuff. I enjoy it. It can sometimes have that feeling of all or nothing, and sometimes you'll reveal the wrong card right at the beginning of the game. That game took 2 minutes, So that happens. But it's still fun. It's clever. It gives me a lot of the same feelings that this one did, this new one. So let's, let me dive into that. Couple of things that are going to be my main drawbacks here. The aesthetics. I know that seems crazy because I love the artwork in this, and I think a lot of people will find it charming. I think the look of the cards is great. The card quality could stand to be a little bit higher. It's okay, but this is the kind of card that if it has a crease or something on it, if something happens to it, it's extremely easily identifiable, which is a problem when the cards need to stay hidden, when they need to not be easily discernible from one another. And to compound that problem, they have strange shapes. So these are not going to be easy to sleeve. Okay? That's the main issue. This is the kind of game you're going to have to take care of above and beyond what usually will take care of a game, just because it will be ruined if a card is marked. And you cannot hide that. The other thing then is ease of play. The symbols in this, I think, are well used. That's nice. I do wish, though, that they had made it a single manual. They give you 2 manuals here. One with what they're calling, I guess, the game rules, and then a variant. The variant is the real new game here. This feels much closer to the original game, which is fine, again. But this is what you're showing up for. The bombs having special abilities and so forth. This is where it's at. I wish these were in the same book. There's no reason for these to be 2 different leaflets, And also a nice player aid would have been good. Just to be able to grab that instead of having to open this thing and find out what the bombs do. A nice reference as to what they each do, what each color brings to the table. Other than that, I like everything else. I think the theme here is awesome. The whole steampunk saboteur thing is great. The original one has a Sherlock Holmes kind of vibe. This one is kind of in the same universe, I guess, but it feels more steampunky now. You've got the robot and all that stuff, The replay value here is good, though be aware this game lists for 4 to 6 players, and really I would recommend it with 5 and 6 above 4. 4 works, but 5 or 6 is where it's at. So there's a narrow window there. But the replayability is going to stay high. The way things are going to happen will be different from game to game. So I still give this a thumbs up. The game arc and in a bit the tactics and strategy are going to be my 2 main highlights. Game arc is great. There's a fantastic rising tension that stays high. Sometimes you have a real sort of extended moment of tension in the game. The second half of this game could all be nail-biting. That's great. And it's a short game, too, so that's easy to get to. You don't need to play 2 hours and then have great nail-biting tension. You'll get that very quickly. So I absolutely love the game arc in this. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck. It's good. And you need subtle play to do well in this game. Yes, you get away with saying, I have this and this. But you could do that. But if you give up that information, truthfully that is, at a wrong moment, when a saboteur is in charge of what gets cut next, you could doom the table, right? You could doom the entire thing. So you need to be forthcoming with information, but not too forthcoming. It's interesting to explore how to play this subtly. So I enjoy that vibe. I like the way it works out. The mystery, and the subterfuge, the interesting sort of tension around the table is ever present. I like it. So there you go. That is Time Bomb Evolution. Like I said, the original one for me, I think is a 7 or so. This one's better. I think it's a more developed game. It's more interesting. There's a little more game to it. So this is going to get a solid 8 out of 10 from me. I could easily say this is now one of my favorite social deduction games. Not my favorite genre ever, but this is a great one in it. Okay? So 8 out of 10, that means it's going to get a seal of approval, and I certainly would recommend it. If you like the genre, get on this, absolutely. If you're not a huge fan of it, this is a very easy one to get into, so you might like it also. If you've been put off by some of the ones that are a little more obtuse, this is good stuff. It's very easy to get into. I think you'll appreciate the look, the artwork, the vibe in it. So there you go. That's Time Bomb Evolution, everybody. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'm Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.